Summary of the picture of Dorian Gray. Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray is a philosophical Gothic novel that explores beauty, morality, hedonism, and the consequences of a life devoted solely to pleasure. It follows the rise and corruption of Dorian Gray, a handsome young man whose quest for eternal youth leads him into moral ruin. The beginning, beauty, influence, and a fateful wish. The story opens in the studio of Basil Hallward, an artist who is captivated by the beauty and purity of Dorian Gray, a young aristocrat. Basil paints what he believes is his greatest masterpiece, a full-length portrait of Dorian. While visiting the studio, Basil's friend, Lord Henry Wotton, meets Dorian and begins influencing him with his philosophy of hedonism, which is pursuing pleasure above all else, ignoring conventional morality, and embracing the beauty of youth as life's highest achievement. Struck by Lord Henry's ideas and overwhelmed by the realization that his youth will fade while the portrait will remain flawless, Dorian makes a fateful wish that the portrait would age and bear the marks of his sins while he himself remains forever young. The corruption begins. Soon after, Dorian falls in love with Sybil Vane, a talented young actress who performs Shakespeare in a theater. He idealizes her as an artistic dream rather than a human being. When Sybil falls in love with him, she loses her artistic ability, and her acting becomes lifeless, because she believes real love is more important than pretending. Cruelly disappointed, Dorian rejects her. Heartbroken, Sybil commits suicide. When Dorian returns home, he notices a subtle change in the portrait. Horrified yet fascinated, Dorian realizes his wish has come true. Encouraged by Lord Henry to view Sybil's death as merely a tragic illusion or artistic event, Dorian begins to pursue pleasure without concern for morality. The portrait, hidden away in a locked room, grows increasingly grotesque as it absorbs his sins. Years of vice. Over nearly 2 decades, Dorian remains beautiful, youthful, and admired in society. However, his reputation becomes secretly tainted. Rumors circulate about his involvement in scandals, corruption, and cruelty toward friends, lovers, and even strangers. Yet nothing can be proven, and Dorian's perfect appearance protects him from suspicion. Meanwhile, the portrait becomes hideous, aged, scarred, and twisted by every sin he commits. It serves as a constant reminder of his moral decay, even as he tries to immerse himself in luxury, art, and sensations to escape guilt. Basil confronts the truth. Eventually, Basil Hallward visits Dorian to ask about the dark rumors. Dorian, feeling cornered, decides to show Basil the portrait. When Basil sees the monstrous transformation, he is horrified and begs Dorian to repent. Instead, in a moment of rage and fear, Dorian murders Basil. This act represents his deepest moral fall, severing his last connection to innocence. He enlists a former acquaintance to dispose of the body, further dragging others into his corruption. Dorian's growing desperation. After Basil's murder, Dorian becomes increasingly paranoid and restless. He attempts to escape his guilt through opium dens and shallow pleasures. He tries, unsuccessfully, to blame Lord Henry's influence for his downfall, though ultimately he knows he made his own choices. Seeking redemption, Dorian makes a small attempt at goodness and showing restraint with a young woman he might have ruined. He hopes this good deed will improve the portrait. But when he checks it, he sees it has grown even uglier, as his good action was motivated by vanity and self-interest, rather than genuine remorse. The ending, destruction, and revelation. Realizing he can never escape the truth of who he has become, Dorian decides to destroy the portrait and the symbol of his corrupted soul. In a frenzy, he stabs the painting with the same knife he used to kill Basil. A scream is heard, and servants break into the room. They find the portrait restored to its original beauty. On the floor lies the body of an aged, withered, hideous old man who is dead with the knife in his heart. Only through the rings on his fingers can they identify him. By killing the portrait, Dorian kills himself. That suggests that one cannot separate appearance from reality or escape the consequences of one's actions.